Hey guys, how you doing? This is Mike Headley, host of the Headley Group Real Estate Show, all day, every day, real estate info. We got a treat for you guys today. We have one of the most successful investors in this Greensboro market, Mr. Derrick McDow. Mr. McDow, open that door and let us talk to Mr. McDow when he first started, when he first got in the game. What was that outlook like? What was that drive like? And give us a story that the audience can relate to, where they can say, wow, that could be me one day, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely not. As you tell me that, or either form that question to me, I can kind of think back at some of my first few deals. And I remember being very, very hungry, very, very driven, not wanting to quit, not wanting to stop, having to complete my goal. When I first got into the market, didn't know a lot about real estate except from the aspect of the financial aspect of it, but to actually go out and buy homes and flip homes and actually do work on homes and deal with contractors. I didn't know much about that aspect of it. And so when I first started, I mean, one particular deal in Winston-Salem that you and I had did together, right? You had brought me a deal in the outskirts of Winston.
I think it was Winnebago, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, thank you very much. It surely was. It was a great piece of property, tri-level, split-level property. Had a little damage to it, had been sitting for a while. You brought me the deal. Luckily, at the time, I had the funds to go ahead and acquire this particular property. And one thing I had to have was a good contractor. That's one thing I remember having a struggle doing that right there. So I found one good contractor in Winston. But one thing I do remember having to nurse it, having to really have hands-on to make sure this thing went my direction and in a timely manner. One thing you will find, people, if you want to be an investor or just a property owner, you want to make sure you're able to purchase a property and turn it within a timely manner. Because that's everything. You want to actually get it turned if you can before you make your first payment. A lot of times you don't have to make your first payment for the first 2 months or a month and a half to that effect when you first close on a property. So you want to be able to flip that house, have the good contractors already in queue, make sure you're able to oversee the property. And so, like, for example, you have different details or different aspects of the property or the repairs that you want to have done. Make sure that you're there and watch everything, because a lot of times contractors will, they'll tell you one thing, then they'll do another. Right.
Keep it honest.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. You got to make sure they keep it honest, right? And so if they promise to give you hardwood floors, take hardwood floors. Don't accept laminate. Don't accept vinyl plank. Make sure it's hardwood floors. And make sure you do things like this when it comes to writing up a contract. You give them time constraints inside that contract, so you can have charge or take charge of that particular repairs being done. For example, if you have, say, you want this house flipped in 30 days. Right, he guarantees he can have the house flipped in 30 days. Well, you make sure that you put benchmarks on that contract so that if he does not complete it in 30 days, either he's willing to reduce his service fee for that property right there, or either add something additional to it. It could be something as simple as adding granite countertops where you weren't going to do that at one time.
So is it fair to say that you put contingencies on them?
Absolutely.
With incentives also, they finish in timely fashion? Absolutely.
And me being the seasoned investor that I have been, I've seen things like this happen for the average individual, even myself, to whereas you have contractors who promise to give you certain numbers and certain time frames, and they cannot do it in a timely manner. So where are you at? You're at their mercy at this point, right? If you didn't have any type of contingencies in place, you're at their mercy. So what you try to do is protect yourself as much as possible to make sure that you can protect yourself and have certain benchmarks and certain, what word am I looking for, to make sure that you're going to get what you want.
I guess I think, like you just said, as far as put a benchmark on them. But let me back it up a little bit. So is it safe to say that investor has to be more like a project manager to oversee a lot of different things?
You have to wear many hats, and when it comes to being a real estate owner as well as a real estate investor. All right. So you want to make sure that only you're going to protect your investment the way you should. No one else is going to be as vested as you are. That's your money on the line. that's your credit on the line, and that's your particular asset on the line. So you want to so you want to make sure that you're going to protect your asset at all costs. So when it comes to getting the repairs that you want, the quality of work that you want, you got to see everything, right? You just can't take this person's word that they're going to give you what you're expecting them to give you. You got to go actually do your due diligence, look around, be on that project site. If you can daily, that'd be great, but not at least 3 times a week to make sure that property is going up the way you want to go up. If you see things about, if you see the kitchen cabinets being brought in on a certain day, be there to make sure those cabinets are hung properly, make sure the color you want, make sure the hardware you want, make sure everything is exactly how you want it.
Okay, so is it also fair to say that investor homeowner has to be educated? Do you recommend that they constantly educate themselves?
I think that every investor, potential homeowner should always, be as informed as possible. There are always new trends going on every day when it comes to financing, when it comes to different programs out there for the average would-be homeowner, would-be home investor. So absolutely, take your time, become educated, get to know your broker. All right, the broker can actually turn you on to a lot of good programs. I mean, great programs. We got, even to this day, despite the housing market of 2007, the crash, there's still some no-doc loans today. You can actually buy a home with no money down still. There are great ways of finding different things. They're rehab loans, right? If you buy a piece of property that's distressed, you can actually go in there and acquire the property as well as get additional funds for the rehabilitation of the property. So there are great different things that you can do, but the main thing is always becoming educated and knowledgeable about what you're doing.
Phenomenal. So I think I would always ask my the guests that come on the show is that if they had to give 2 golden nuggets, right? You had Jane or John Doe up and come and say, or they seen this broadcast and say, something, I want to take this out of it, I'm going to run with that. Because you gave a wealth of information. 2 golden nuggets, what would them nuggets be specifically?
The best nuggets I think would be probably your credit, understanding your credit, and education, right? Because those are great. Gotta give them 3 nuggets.
Gotta give them 3, okay.
Gotta give them 3. And have a good relationship with your financial institution, credit union or bank. Know who your bankers are. Build a personal relationship with those guys because they can assist you. They can make those recommendations, whereas you fit into a certain criteria that you cannot get beyond a certain criteria of lending. If you have a good relationship with your banker, you can actually get beyond that and go to the next level. So I say those 3 nuggets would be credit, relationship, and education.
Phenomenal. I mean, guys, great information from Mr. Derrick McDow here. I think, Mr. Dow, like I said, you really blessed us today, and we thank you for coming on the show. Hopefully you can come on again more and more and provide some great valuable information.
My pleasure. I'll be honored to do so.
Thanks a lot, guys. This is Mike Headley with the Headley Group Real Estate Show, all day, every day, real estate info. You take care.
Audio Jungle.